Hello, good afternoon. Welcome along to your pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabble podcast. I wish what we were just talking about there in the background could have been recorded and put out. We solved Canadian politics. We discussed other podcasts, and we discussed certain ex-footballers who apparently like sheep. Yeah, we could solve the world problems. We should have the Rangers Rabble World Podcast Problems fucking podcast or whatever. But anyway, yeah. Hello, we're here to talk about Rangers versus Motherwell today at Ibrox. I believe the majority of us, including myself, are expecting a comfortable win. Go back 5 points ahead. Obviously, Celtic will get a tricky away game at Tynecastle tomorrow. So yeah, like and subscribe and all that good stuff on YouTube and follow and share and
just Marnie's froze on, is it?
No, I think it's just
What a clip of him. Look at that face. Yeah, so don't forget to like and share. Oh, is he back? He's back. He's in the background. He's in the foreground. Here he is.
I've got brand new internet coming in about a week and a half's time, because this will just continue to happen. And if any internet providers want to sponsor the Rangers Rabble, then feel free. But Virgin Media is jank.
right on cue.
That is amazing. What timing is that? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to come back anyway. Davey, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm really good, Stu. How's yourself?
Yes, not so bad. I've got a glitchy Martin jumping in and out. It's all going out. He's just giving me the thumbs up. So hopefully he's going to come back in 2 seconds. But Motherwell today, I'm sure we're going to put the team lineup out very shortly. I'm sure you've seen it, so it will go up. There it is down the bottom of the screen. Butland in goal, back four of Tavernier, Goldson, Suter, Yilmaz back in the starting lineup. Lundstrom, Raskin, Diamande in midfield, McCausland and the utility man Sterling out wide. Dessers up top. What's your initial thoughts on that team?
My initial thoughts, Stu, because I think Martin's left us again, is that I was surprised that Raskin was introduced. However, this is a great opportunity for him to stake a claim. He's involved in the European squad between now and the end of the season. There's competition for places just now. As I think we've seen with Clement, if you're the man in possession of the jersey and you put in a shift, you've a fair chance of keeping it, especially with the injuries that we've got at the moment. So massive chance for Raskin to influence himself and the team going forward in the latter parts of this season. Sterling on the left wing by the looks of it, McCausland on the right. Dujon Sterling, I'm quite happy that he's playing in the left-hand side today, because Stephen O'Donnell, I've called him out in the Scottish Football Show for being a bit of a donkey, for one a better phrase. But the one thing he does have is, pace going forward. I'm not sure he's got much in terms of going back. He tends to get caught out, in behind. So I think Sterling will negate his sort of, crossing threat that he'll have, because they will try and hit Bear from deep positions as early as they can today. So that's kind of what I think Clement's doing. He's looking to nullify their threats, and we've got three tidy footballers in the middle of the park that look to dominate proceedings.
I don't think he's back. He looks like he's frozen again. Just sticking with Raskin there. It's when you look at McCausland, and I mean McCausland's coming for a little bit of stick, maybe a bit unfair. But when you look at, obviously Sterling's going to be, I would say, out of position, but at this point I don't know what his position is. I think he can just play everywhere, to be honest. How important that midfield three do you think is going to be today in terms of our creativity? Because no Cortez and obviously Seamer's still injured. We've got no Cantwell. Lawrence is on the bench. So do you feel like a lot of that creativity's got to come from the middle of the park today?
Yeah, because I think what goes in our favour is that Motherwell's two best players for me this season, in terms of Lennon Miller and Blair Spittle, are tidy footballers who like to be on the ball. So if they're going to influence the game at all, they're going to want to play or try and play football. And that'll suit us today on our pitch, because I think, Lundstrom will always look to be the ball winner. But as we've seen in recent weeks, he can start spraying passes now that he's got confidence. He's looking to get further on in the pitch as well. His no-look pass last weekend was absolutely exquisite. And Diamande and Raskin, they're brought up in the culture of being, ballers. That is sort of their ethos, where they came from. So I expect us to have lots of possession and looking to make things happen. The only thing you would say about our wide players is, the thing for me, obviously Sterling's a natural defensive player, so we don't know how often he's going to try or be able to stretch the game. And for me, the one weakness in McCausland's game is that when he goes to hit the byline or he beats a man, he fails to look up. He rather sort of hits at the first attempt he's got. So I think Dessers might be key in that and bringing other players into the game. As much as Dessers can be a battering ram at times, he is tidy in tight spaces. He can hold the ball up and he can bring others into play. So I think that'll be key in getting us joy, because the one weakness that you have to say Motherwell have is their back three are rank rotten.
Yes, Martin has just mentioned. It seems that every time I can see him in the background, and he doesn't freeze at all. And then as soon as he comes in, it seems to freeze up. So I don't know if he's going to go again at some point and see how it goes, but he's we'll see. On to the back four then, Davey. Are you happy that we've sort of? I mean, Ridvan is a no-brainer, right? To come back in. If I had my way, we'd never see Barisic again. But are you happy enough with that back? Oh, welcome Kieran as well. Look at this. Got Kieran. Kieran, how you doing, my friend?
All right, I do jump in and save the day because the Martin's internet is not working very well.
That's it, mate. That's it. So yeah, sorry, we're just going through the team a little bit there, Kieran. And I'll keep this on Davey, and then I'll swing it over to yourself. So, are you happy that we're keeping this solid back four? Because obviously Balogun's back from injury now, and I think a lot of people are quite keen to get Balogun back in. I'm quite a big fan of Suter. I know he didn't cover himself in glory at the Kilmarnock goal, but Motherwell, for all their defensive calamities, are, I believe, the top goal scorers outside of the Old Firm in the division, which blew my mind when I read that stat, by the way. So are you happy enough that we're going for consistency at the back? Because although we look shaky at times, the defensive record in terms of goals conceded is pretty outrageous from ourselves.
It's an old cliche, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we're on a good run at the moment. I think the sort of partnership between Butland, Goldson and Suter has been key in recent weeks. We've really got on a strong defensive record in terms of tons of clean sheets from the January transfer window. I think Balogun's unlucky that he has been injured, but he's obviously been dropped out of the European squad as well. So I think Balogun's use might be in the games where we've maybe played, away from home after a Thursday night. You might see Balogun play the next game with, one of the two centre-halves getting a rest. Ben Davies still not up to speed yet, still not had enough games, but Ben Davies will be the spare centre-half for Europe. So I think keep the partnership going between Goldson and Suter, and also think there's sort of good understanding between Suter and Ridvan. I think Suter allows Ridvan to go forward. He knows when he's going to go and he covers the space very well. I think the centre halves that we do have, John Suter has got that wee touchy recovery pace, and he's also good at coming out with the ball. So I think, the left-hand side for us has vastly improved from where we were at the start of the season. And I think that is Clement's preferred goalkeeper and back four, Stu, going forward.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Kieran, obviously, I'm hoping you've had a chance to see the team. If not, it's as we expected in terms of back four with Ridvan back, Lundstrom, Raskin, Diamande in midfield, the wide being McCausland and Sterling, Dessers up top. First off, I'll just get your sort of initial thoughts. How are you feeling after, there was a bit of concern with the Kilmarnock starting lineup? Are you feeling much more confident back at Ibrox and a more settled starting lineup from Clement?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that regardless when you go to Kilmarnock, Rugby Park has been not a thorn in our sides, but it's not been the greatest venue that we go to. We're known not to play the best football, but again, it's just the pitch, I think, is a big factor. Looking at the team, though, it's a strong team. I did definitely expect Ridvan to come back in. I don't think Barisic was up to much against Kilmarnock, and I think that not that he's finished at Rangers completely, but Ridvan is leaps and bounds ahead. You can see that the way that he's playing, the way that Clement responds to him. I think that Ridvan is our number one now. Raskin coming in, is that maybe just to give Diamandi a little bit of a rest because he hadn't played previously? I think it was November before he came to us. So I think that when Raskin's coming in, you know what you're going to get with Raskin. He's a terrier in the middle of the park. Yeah, pretty happy. Sterling, again, the utility player that we have, could play anywhere. I think to give him a pair of gloves, he'd give Jack Butland a run for his money, to be honest. I think that I'm quite confident with the team, to be honest. I'm very happy it's at Ibrox. Very happy it's at Ibrox. But yeah, I think that I'm not going to jinx it and say a comfortable game, but I think the team that we've got out there in our defensive record at the moment, I think we should be reasonably comfortable in that game.
Yeah, David, I mean, I don't want to go too much into talk away from this game so much, but in terms of other clubs talking about injury problems and how maybe 2 players being out injured is impacting their season, someone put a tweet up, and I will try and find it as soon as I can, but just about the sheer amount of injuries we've had this season, but to key players throughout, and in terms of what Clement's had to deal with, and I know I've got it up here. So out for 20 plus games, and this is at RFC 1872I, by the way, so I'll give full credit to the tweet. But out for 20 plus games was Raskin, Danilo, Lawrence, Jack, Roof, Dow, Matondo, Davies. Obviously, some of them are back. Out for 10 plus games, Wright, Seamer, Barisic, Cantwell, and recent injury, Cortez. That's a huge chunk of your first team squad. And to think that there was another tweet that went up recently, like the 20 league games under Clement and 20 league games under Rodgers. Rangers would have a 9-point lead if it started at that point. How important is it then that when we talk about players coming back, obviously we're getting so many impact players now, and you know, we've seen Lawrence come back, a bit of a slow start, but now he's firing on all cylinders, and he looks to be the man we saw really when we signed him. It's almost like, as bad as it is having these injuries, it is a bit like getting a new signing every other week when one of these come back with the magic that Clement works with them.
Well, your last statement there, Stu, I think speaks volumes, because for me, Philip Clement could go into your bathroom with a plunger and build you a whole new bathroom. You know, that's just the type of skill that he's got for me. You know, his man management is fantastic. The competition that he's created for places is incredible. You know, what he's getting out of, you know, players that we had all written off in the early part of the season is what's most impressing me. And I think CGM's comment there, you know, was a fantastic one. Look at the injuries that we've got at the moment, but look how strong our bench is. You know, we can influence the game going forward with the likes of Lawrence, Silva, Roof, you know, maybe to a lesser extent Scott Wright, but Scott Wright always seems to make an appearance here or there. You know, it's just, you know, for me, such a turnaround. And I think, you know, every player there that's on the bench, you know, is going to play their part going forward, whether it be starting games or making an impact. And every one of them, you know, has match-winning qualities there. And, you know, that has been such a void for us over the last couple of seasons. We've looked at our bench and, you know, there's been fillers in there, and at times we've had 2 goalkeepers on the bench, and then you look at it today, you know, not one youth player on the bench, you know, all sort of, I think the vast majority of them have played either under 21s or international football at some stage in their career. So, you know, very strong for me, and it just bodes well going forward.
Yeah, and the other positive, I mean, listen, there's games pretty much, what's it, 2 a week at the moment. But in terms of league fixtures, after today, we've basically got a 2-week break in the league because we've got Europa League and we've got the Cup. So it's another chance to get more players back into that fold. And as you say, that having the bench, Kieran, is so important. Earlier on in the season, I think it was really, you know, one of the biggest struggles for us is we couldn't change games. And then people might point that towards the manager at the time. But you know, any manager, and good or bad, has to have a squad that's capable of impacting the game both on the pitch from the start and from the bench. And now it does feel like we have that, and it does feel like, you know, things aren't going right. Even today, we're really short in the wide areas, but we know that you know, we could even put Silva out there. Scott Wright can come off. Lawrence can go out wide if needed. There's a lot of quality from that bench, and in that running, that's going to be huge. Being able to, I mean, he already switches the team up pretty much most games, but being able to do that, the dynamism in the football, you know, not just having to play fast attacking football, but knowing when we've got to go direct, going away on these plastic pitches, you're not going to play that football. It just feels like Clement and this team are in such a good place, and these games are almost vital to really keep that winning momentum, the feeling with the fans, just the whole thing going at the moment.
Yeah, I think that in previous seasons, the bench has never been our strong point. I think if you look at maybe earlier on this season was when the bench started to kind of get a little bit more stronger. But when we played them a while back, the difference of their bench and ours was night and day. And I think that what Clement's doing is I don't think he's starting all the best players at once. So if we do need that little bit of quality, bringing on somebody like Lawrence, who scored the winner against Kelly, we've got Ruth coming back who can impact the game. We've got Silva on the bench that can come on kind of like for Dessers, but they offer different things. So if it's not working for Dessers in the way that he's playing, maybe it suits Silva to come on second half and maybe totally change the game. So I think that the way that Clement has structured his bench, and again, he chops and changes every week, which I actually really like because it freshens up players. It gives players something to fight for as well. If they've scored 2 goals the previous game, if they're on the bench, they're hungry to get back on the pitch. And Dessers has said that in multiple interviews that if he's ever on the bench, he's hungry to come on and score. Even if he has scored the previous game and he's left on the bench, he says that all players want to play every minute of the game. So I think it's kind of building that mentality of you get picked to come on, then you need to show why you're getting brought on and why you should start the next game.
Yes, absolutely. Completely agree. I did just pick up a comment that sort of touched on it a little bit, and I wanted to take it to Davey as well. Motherwell wouldn't have predicted that lineup, and I think it's such a strength that Clement has. I've moaned a little bit about the changes, and listen, I think he admits when he gets it wrong, like the Barisic and Silva. For me, the big problem wasn't even Barisic bad. It's Barisic's speciality is putting balls into the box. You'd almost want Dessers if that's the case. It just felt like it was a bit unbalanced, but he saw his mistake pretty much instantly, changed it at half time, which again is another positive, a manager that will make early changes. But how big is it for you, Davey, that like Kieran just touched on and Hugo saying there, just the different ways of playing, we're not stuck to just putting the ball to Tavernier or Barisic and whipping crosses in and hoping to pick up seconds and stuff like that. Just the different styles of football we can play today, having what is essentially a right / centre back on the left wing and McCausland. So I'm fully expecting overlaps from Yilmaz. I'm fully expecting us for Sterling to drift into the middle a lot and pack up that midfield. For me, it's just exciting I never know what I'm going to get from Rangers now, but in an exciting way, not in a they don't know what they're doing. It's just I've just said it before, the dynamism, just complete different ways of playing. It's a huge bonus, and I think it also keeps other managers and other teams guessing because they don't know how we're going to play. They don't know how we're going to line up, and when they do, when they get used to it, like Kieran said, we can bring Dessers off, we can bring Silva off, and once again, that completely changes the front line and the way we're going to play.
Well, the one thing that I think he's done, which is interesting, because I've cried for the last sort of 3 Rangers managers to do this, is that when it's against domestic teams, just play one sitter and have 2 in front, 2 more advanced. And Van Bronckhorst played with 2 sitters, Gerrard played with 2 sitters, Beale played with 2 sitters. And I think that's why we were awful slow and pedestrian. I think for me, that was the first thing Clement looked to address. And the only time you've seen him play with 2 sitters now is when it's been, at Betis away and Parkhead away, where you think that you're not going to get enough of the ball, and he made a change at half time at Easter Road when he brought Sterling on because he felt we were losing the midfield battle, and we absolutely played them off the park in the second half. So I like that there's variety there. He knows that it's not just the same team with the same rules and we play the same way. If we're guessing as fans, then opposition managers must be scratching their head, and that can only, again, as I said earlier on, bode well going forward between now and the end of the season. I also think his changes, we've had managers in the past where it's got to 60 minutes and we know exactly what the changes are going to be. we don't know what the changes are going to be. You know, he could bring Silva on for Dessers today. He could bring Silva on and play him in the 10. He could bring Silva on and play him in the left-hand side. So we don't know what's going to happen as fans. And I think, you know, there's just so much options to change style, to change formation, to change personnel. And it gives us more options to win games, I feel, going forward. And I think that's why we're on such a good run at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. I think Martin is going to attempt to rejoin shortly. He has restarted his internet, so we'll see how. I think I just saw him winding it up there, so we'll see how that goes. Just one thing I want to touch back on the injuries as well. Just a real quick mention to it, but I did see that Seema is expected back out on the grass next week. Not contact, but expected to do fitness on the grass, and then hopefully it's not too long down the road. He's going to be back into the training sessions, and then back properly for us. Cortez was a bit of a worry, obviously pulled up with a hamstring. Hamstrings are usually 4 to 6 weeks, right? But I don't like the fact that he's going to see a specialist. I don't know if that's the case with all hamstrings. I'm not sure it is. So that's a bit of a worry, because I think the wee man was starting to look really, really exciting for us. And listen, what DK just said there, it's exciting at the moment to watch Rangers, Kieran. It's, you know, I'm looking forward to the games. I'm nervous because we're banging the smack of the title race now, right? So I've gone from coming into a game against Motherwell, where I do still expect 3 points, but now the nerves have hit, right? Because I'm worried. You know, what if we concede the first goal and they sit in and stuff like this? And I shouldn't be, but that's just the title race. That's what it does with us. Is he attempting to come back in? Yeah, he doesn't look like it. So we'll carry on for a second. Up top then, Kieran, Dessers gets the nod ahead of Fabio Silva. Silva, a bit of a quiet game against Clement, which I don't think is fully his fault, to be honest. He had that early chance. I don't think it was really the game for Silva. I think we were quite poor in that first half. Stepped up second half, which was good to see. And listen, good teams win games no matter what. They find a way through. There'll still be setbacks, I'm sure, but good teams find a way through, especially in those difficult games. So not surprising that Dessers is back in today, but how are you feeling with the big man now? Because he's coming for a lot of stick early on, and all of a sudden, you know, he's right up there in the goal scoring charts, and he's now we lost Kieran.
So
what's going on?
My very
He's back.
first pod, I said that Dessers, when he's got time to think, he just freezes. I don't know if it's he gets scared or he has too much time. I don't know what it is with him, but it seems to be that when he doesn't have time and it's just a striker instant, he scores. He seems to score the complicated ones and miss the easy ones. I feel like he just decides to try and round the keeper constantly. I feel like that's kind of a bit more predictable now. If he's taking a defender on, the keeper doesn't rush out to stop it. You can see all the keepers kind of standing back and going, he's going to try and take me on. And I feel like the fans they're more on side with him now. And you can see that in his performances. He's starting to get himself, I think, a bit more credit with the fans. The only thing is, I think he tries too hard sometimes. I think some things are so simple, but he tries to overcomplicate it. But at the moment, he's who Clement's sticking with and rotating with Silva. So I back him and hope that he gets the job done, to be honest.
Virgin Media is a joke. It's an absolute joke of a company. If anybody from Virgin Media is watching, I want to have some severe words with you, because I'm not a happy man. I hope this holds up. We've got Clement's pre-match thoughts, which I believe include some quite bad news. But yeah, let's hear from the manager. Hopefully, if it cuts out, if I cut out, Stu takes over. We know how this goes. But anyway, here is Philippe Clement ahead of today's game against Motherwell.
Philippe, Motherwell in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon. What's been your message to your squad heading into this one?
That we need to keep the same focus. We had 2 massive games last weekend. Hearts at home, Hearts at third place, really hungry to beat us. Same the away game at Killy, what's always a very difficult fixture. They didn't last one game, or they won all the games against Celtic and Rangers until now this season at home. So it was a big fixture. We did that. And now Motherwell at home. We need to keep the same concentration. Every game is a cup final. And we need to go full power from the first second until the last second.
having that run of winning games, what kind of impact does that have coming into another home game in terms of momentum the squad have at the moment?
Yeah, the momentum has been good already a long time. So it's not really a momentum. So I want to keep that until the end of the season. And it's about focus, concentration, hunger, desire, and keeping the solidarity that's in the team now, with the starting 11, with players coming in, with players not playing and next time playing, to keep everybody as fresh as possible for all these finals still to come.
How have preparations been for this one? You touched on it obviously being a big week.
Good, in many ways. In one way, not good, that Oscar has a serious injury, so he will be longer time out. It's a really strange one with the action that he did, to have a severe injury like that, but we need to look at that the next couple of days, what to do with it, operation or not. So also to be in contact with Lance, because we're not only deciding about that, of course. So that's a blow, but the rest of the team has been working hard, and it's a blow for him, for the team, for all of us, because he was doing really well.
Yeah, how frustrating is that? Obviously, he's come in, had such a good start to his Rangers career.
Yeah, it's frustrating because you want to build further with him. He was doing the good things. And yeah, it's a unlucky thing in football that these things can happen. We try everything with playing minutes, with rest, with recovery to avoid it. It happened, and so we need to look further and to see what's the best solution for him.
Just finally, a word on Motherwell. What are you expecting from them, and what kind of challenge do you feel they'll pose today?
Yeah, I was surprised about that stat, but it's the third. Is they're in third place about scoring goals. So it's a team with a lot of quality to score goals, to attack. They score more goals than Hearts or Hips or whatever, where other people maybe think those are the offensive teams. So it's a danger we need to stop, and we need to score our own goals. So I saw the first game at Ibrox, beginning of the season, and Motherwell at least deserved a draw, or even could have won that game. So it's a big threat, and we need to be on our toes today.
Well, that is the words of the manager pre-match. Davey, obviously gutting news that Cortez is but perhaps going to need an operation, that they're not sure for certain yet. But like Clement said, he had a real big impact early on. He's very direct. You know, he's not a knock the ball past you and go. He can do all sorts. Even something that I thought got overlooked in the Kilmarnock match was the goal that Lawrence scores. When that comes into Cortez, that second that he takes it and delays it and then the Kilmarnock player completely commits, and then the wherewithal to knock it into Dessers as well. It's a massive blow, and he's someone that honestly I was ready to pay the money for right now. Like 20 years old, and I just think the sky's the limit for the boy. It's sounding like we're probably not going to see him again this season.
Yeah, you always feel when it's a loan signing and you speak about the parent club that you know it's a serious injury, and the manager alluded to that in the interview there. I watched him at the Aberdeen game. I was at the Aberdeen game live, and I saw him come on and make such an impact. And, you know, as you say, he can go on the outside, he can come inside. He's neat and tidy on the ball. He has pace. He's direct. He likes a shot at goal as well. You know, it's everything that we've been crying out for a wide player, you know, the type of wide player that we didn't have. He seems to be all-encompassing and has everything in his locker. So massive loss to us at this moment. Hopefully, you know, it will just be, you know, a sort of 4 to 6 week shot and we still get to see him for this season. But, you know, I'm going to allude to something that the guys are speaking about in the comments, and it's that plastic pitch at Kilmarnock. If you remember when Gerrard was manager, and one of his starters at the time was Jamie Murphy, and Jamie Murphy never kicked a ball for Rangers again after that. You know, that injury on that pitch ruined his career. And whilst this isn't an ACL, you know that pitch is, you know, obviously much part of a bigger issue why these should be out of the game, because I don't feel the way, you know, in which Cortez was turning, as the manager says, it's very innocuous. It's not the type of injury you would expect, for the pattern of play that was involved in. And it's because of the surface. If that was on a grass pitch, he wouldn't have had the same result. And I guess that's the frustration of all us Rangers fans at the moment.
Yeah, I just saw the comment about loaning us players. Seamer did get injured on international duty, to be fair, but I do take the point. And Kieran, the plastic pitches is it's a big talking point, because I always see the stats come up from the people that support the teams with plastic pitches and the long-term injuries that are carried out on a grass pitch. And I don't know if that's skewed by the fact that 70% of in our league, 80% in our league play on grass pitches, so therefore the stats are going to be higher for injuries on grass pitches. But it does seem that the innocuous stuff on the plastic pitches leads to longer term injuries. And listen, I'm pulling that completely from what it just feels like. I'm not pulling these on stats, but like Davey said, the Jamie Murphy one, Cortez, it just feels like there's a few over the years where they don't even need to be challenged. It's just like the way they stand on the ground, or they come down from a challenge in the air. It's, for me, I'm one of these that in this day and age, top leagues should not have plastic pitches. And I feel like if Ross County can keep a good grass pitch in the Highlands, then I don't see why Kilmarnock and Ayrshire can't do the same. It just baffles me that in this league, and for me, it goes back to how backwards our league is, if I'm completely honest, and how we treat anything modern, that we still have plastic pitches.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what David was saying there about Jamie Murphy, like you said, he never kicked the ball again. But the problem is, like, the way Cortez moved, he didn't get challenged really hard. It wasn't like he was up in the air for a long time. It was a simple, he landed on the ground and you could see straight away it was in pain. With it being the grass pitch, there's two sides of it. I don't like grass pitches at all. Sorry, that's rubbish. I don't like the artificial grass pitches at all. The grass pitches are obviously, they say it's the upkeep and the expense that stops like the lower teams going for it, etc. But like that comment said, that if you're playing in the Premiership and they've got history of players being injured on those pitches, it's just a strange one. It's just a strange one that, like, going back to another comment about people not being loaned because people are getting injured on like the artificial pitches. Then there's another stat I've seen that people are saying, well, come on, I can't gripe in that their players are getting injured. It seems to be, though, like when it's that type of plastic, the ball zips a lot harder, players are stretching a lot more to try and get it. It's just, I don't understand how the league can't say, right, it has to be grass pitches, or unfortunately you cannot be in this league. There's too many track records of injuries on artificial pitches that seriously needs to be looked at. And I know that I think it's Kilmarnock's one, something's getting done about it. Is it next season? I think they're changing back to grass pitch. It used to be a really, really well kept grass pitch. But the league have to say, like the new teams coming up as well, that look, if you don't have a grass pitch that is suitable for playing on, then you can't. When we played St Johnstone, their pitch was like a tatty field. It's just not doing anything for the Scottish game as well, advertising as well. Players aren't going to want to come along here, play on an artificial pitch, to end up getting injured, quite possibly not playing for the club again.
Yeah. CGM, I'll take the point about the black hole. Yeah, it was just more the weather conditions the further up you go. But again, it's someone pointing out the Darvel pitch as well. And I think back in the day when you see teams like Falkirk can't get promoted because their ground didn't have the seating capacity, then teams shouldn't be able to get promoted if they've got plastic pitches, in my opinion. I get the money. I get you don't want to prevent teams coming up and earning money, but there should be a standard, and everyone should have to abide by it to a degree. Wrapping it up then, I really wanted to get some thoughts on Stephen Davis, who's on the pitch receiving his award. It's like the opening gala thing, isn't it, for the Hall of Fame? So big congratulations, Stephen Davis. Fantastic to see him back walking around on the pitch. And there was something else to mention, wasn't there? Oh, yeah, of course. thank you to all the support for everyone that's watched the Rabble over the years and months and weeks. And even if this is your first one, we're now just 200 subscribers away from 10,000, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So everyone give yourself a round of applause, because that is sensational. And we really, really do appreciate all the support we've had. So lastly, from me, I'm just going to get some predictions. So if everyone wants to chuck up their predictions and a first goal scorer in the chat, I will put some up on the screen, and I'll go to Davey for his one first.
No problem, Stu. Just before I give my prediction, I'd just like to say, Stephen Davis, had a fantastic Rangers career and total professional, a guy who captained the club, played for the club, supported the club, scored for the club, won trophies for the club, and for a short while managed the club. Always carried himself well, was never in the papers for the wrong reason, just a terrific pro. And, I think, part of him coming back led us to getting that all-important league title that we got, and he was terrific that season. So I hope he enjoys his retirement, and many happy wishes from me and all the guys at the Rabble, I'm sure. In terms of predictions, I'm going to go 4-0 today, and I'm going to pick Dujon Sterling to get the first goal.
Wow, look at that. What about yourself, Kieran? What do you think?
I'm going for 2-0. I think it'll be Tav and Raskin.
There we are, 2-0 Tavern Raskin. Kieran's gone 3-1. Scott's going 3-0. Des is at the double. Clement is in the chat. He's saying 5-0 today. So if you're going to trust anyone, trust Philippe Clement. And I will just wait for a couple more to come in before we wrap up and let everyone get off. CGM saying he's liking that prediction. Would also like to echo David's thoughts on Stephen Davis. Sensational. I don't know why the one that sticks for me is Stephen Davis, and it's like it wasn't a great finish on it, but I guess it was just the speed of thought. But do you remember the Werder Bremen one on the UEFA Cup run where the keeper makes an absolute howler of it, doesn't he? And he just follows it, slides it in at the back
Tim
post.
Visa.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? I just remember because I never thought they were their Diego in midfield, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I thought they're going to batter us. And that's the second leg, of course, when McGregor made that ridiculous save in the last minute. Derek's gone 2-0 with Dessers, Toronto Bear. We were talking about Canada before in the background. 3-0. And he's also saying Dessers. So that will do us today. Please come back and join us after for the post-match, where we'll have to see if Martin's internet can hold up, A, for the game, and then B, for the post-match. But until then, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you again for all the subscribers over the years and up to, and hopefully we can break through that 10,000. And this is just the start, we hope. So thank you very much, Davey. Thanks to Kieran for jumping in and saving the day. Thanks to Martin's internet, because I didn't really want to speak to him anyway. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you after the match. Cheers.